So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome you all who has joined today, and I thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk in front of you. So my today's topic is going to be quite knowledgeable for all of you. So today's topic is application security in organization. So let me give you quick insight about myself. That people call me supermodel, efficient, and girls with girls because my body nature. But you know more about myself, like where I'm working and all. So I did my master in computer application. I'm a tech enthusiastic person. I'm familiar with these languages. I'm a software engineer working with the PVD from last 3 years. So today's agenda is what is security and why you should care about security. Application security in brief, modern SDLC, lifecycle, bugs, exploitations, vulnerabilities, OWASP, and demo. So everybody is using internet today, right? How many of the here are not using internet? Everybody is using, I guess. We are using internet by form of social media, even with developing code, then GitHub. Any form of internet, the users are increasing. Every day we see the users are increasing. But we also see the increasing of users on internet. We see the crimes are also increasing. Okay, now let me tell you one thing. Now you are downloading any application in your mobile. You are more concerned like giving the permissions. Like let's say you are giving the permission of Canada, giving the permission of microphone and other. You are very scared to give this permission to unknown apps, right? But the problem is what we can do it. How we can trust this app? So now concerning about security for any application software or any mobile application, let me tell you certain things. So in movie, normally hacker look like this, but in reality, hacker doesn't look like in this way. They don't wear the hoodie and mask and all this. So the hacker is normally look like us only. So how? So after this video, I think all of you will know how to hack Instagram, YouTube, and other things. How you can inject something. Okay. Security is something when you are very trustful on website, means you know this website is trustworthy, right? So now talking about security fundamental, that is application security. Application security is you are developing, adding, testing, and security feature within your applications to prevent the security vulnerabilities. So don't worry if you don't understand the vulnerabilities. We are going to cover all of this topic today. Okay. So here is a guy is very concerned about his security. So he went to the Starbucks coffee shop and he entered his public name. Public place is just his name to be safe. Okay. Now you guys are still questioning like why we require security. Now there is a total four fundamentals that we require. So talking about the confidentiality. Confidentiality means that someone is telling me something. I need to keep that secret to myself. Let's take an example of bank. You are giving this some information about to the bank, like your first name, last name, your birthday, then your Aadhaar card, or maybe some information that identify yourself, like driving license. So bank is the best example of secure act. Let's talk about confidentiality. Bank is not going to give your information to someone else. That information should reside inside the bank only. Now, authentication means if I have the access of XYZ bank, but I don't have an access of ABC bank, so I cannot log in ABC bank. Authentication means you need to verify the user is correct or not. Non-reputation is something whenever you are performing some transaction in your application, you cannot deny that that action is not performed by me. You need to because that action is encrypted and every chat and everything is encrypted. So you cannot perform something like this is not done by me. Okay. The fourth pillar is integrity. Integrity means that once you use any data, let's say you are filling the form for bank application. Now after filling the form, once you fill the form, that information is not going to change by someone else. That is called the integrity. So bank is giving you more information like if any person or any third party is going to change something, there is no man in middle attack, there is no changes in your information. Okay. Now, so many people are confused between authentication and authorization. So, I will give you best example of it. So, authorization means you cannot see everything. You have certain amount of access only. Let's take an example of apartment. Okay, you are living in apartment. So, you have access on only the public resources. Let's say parking area, then lift area, but you don't have access of any flat number. You have access only the flat number that is owned by you. Let's say if I'm residing inside the 101, so I can only access the flat number 101. I can't go to 103 and access the resources of 103. Okay. Now there is a very famous attack that was done on 26 November 2018 that was very malicious and that event called event stream incident. So this is a social engineering attack and then supply chain attack. What is done here? So if you see here in the image, there is an actor is there. He added a malicious code, and that malicious code was done in the GitHub. And now you guys are thinking, so no one is verifying the code. Yes, that time they asked that person why you are adding this code, and that time they said the dependency is very outdated. So that's why I need to add this code. And everyone just that person gained the trust on the everyone. Now the code is deployed, and now everyone is using that dependency, and customer is getting more and more impacted by it. Now, what is that dependency and all? So this malicious code was found in NPM package event stream, which is very famous dependency, downloaded 8 million times in the past 2.5 months. So malicious code in NPM dependency is very risky because the main target of downloading this dependency is to steal information of user credential, and secondly, the main target was to steal the Bitcoin. If you see here, there is a more depends. If your code have more dependency and you forgot to update one of the dependencies, then it is a big risk and big vulnerabilities. Okay. Now, talking about the COVID, this vulnerability's biggest risk was done on the COVID. Now, you guys are wondering what is COVID? COVID is the United States of American company, which is an open source wallet company, and now it is known as a gateway. Okay. Talking about this is the Indian company, Mobile. Now this is also a wallet-based company. If you see here, that database of 100 millions of users are big on dark web. Now there is no security for us, right? Still we are working on and seeing how we can mitigate this thing. Okay. Now talking about the bugs. You guys aware about bugs. So many of you know about the bugs. But still, what is bugs? We don't know. So bugs is something when you are developing something and the functionality is not working the way we want. Let's say you are using a login page and the password. User you are taking the username and the password. But the username and password is keep crashing. That is the bug. But the bug and the vulnerability is same. No, it is not same. So vulnerability is something when your machine have or when your code or your code have the loopholes means everybody know that some percentage of bugs is considered as a vulnerability. We don't write the vulnerable code or buggy code, but some way we can mitigate or some way in testing we can find it. So vulnerability is a weakness of your system. Okay, take a simple example of vulnerabilities. When you have an input box and you put the checks for the alphabet, then numbers, but you don't put the checks for the special character. That is a potential vulnerability. Okay, this is very interesting topic that is phishing. Phishing is a social engineering attack, often used to steal user data. Let's say I was sitting in a coffee shop or maybe with my friend, and I was saying my friend that at particular date I'm getting my payment. That users heard that I'm getting payment on particular day. After that, what was happened? He can send me message via mail that your payment is we stop your payment, so you need to download this form and fill the form. So what I will do? I'm in hurry. I will just download that form and fill the form and something because we are very worried about that. Oh, our payment is stopped now, right? And we even don't check the sender is real or not. So phishing attack is very common when someone knows there's some information about us. Okay, if someone is very keen into cyber security or some hacking and all, they can see the movie that is Blackhead that was released in 2015. Okay, exploit. Now this term looks very familiar or not, but I'm going to explain you. Exploit is when you know the vulnerability. You take the advantage of that vulnerability. That calls the exploit. Means you take the advantage in illegal way. Okay, malware. Now talking about the malware, malware is some viruses, viruses, some other thing that infect your computer system or steal information about your system. Now, complaints and losses over the last 5 years that was happened from 2018 to 2022. So, if you see, this is done by the FBI Internet Fraud Complaint IC3. 3.26 million total complaints were launched, and the 27.6 billion total losses were done. And even this is the not real number. Is the complaint is not so big, but the losses is big. Now, talking about the SDLC lifecycle. Now, when you're developing a code that time, you are seeing the cost of fixing that bugs or vulnerability is lower. But when it went to production, it cost will very that will cost very high. Like if you see here, the requirement architecture is 1x, while going in a coding it's still cheaper. But in production, once the code is went to production, it went to 30% x, 30% more. That means if your code went to production, that will going to impact lots of users. So what is the solution for this? You need to start from start. Okay, so security is not only developer thing. We need to, that is a whole team thing. This whole team needs to take a responsibility of security of that code, right? It's not only developer responsibility. What we can do it? While gathering requirement, right? That time we need to check what type of libraries we are going to use, what type of dependency is going to use. Is there any embed dependency that we are going to use it? So we need to specify the versions and all. We need to use the design analysis. The design should be very robust. Coding. Now, developer is also writing code. We are not writing the code that is very easily, we can say very easily buggy code, and we are writing the code with a lots of complexity. But if we write the code with a simple way, that can even help us. We do testing, unit testing, regression testing, everything. But we still couldn't find the bug. When we are finding the bug, here if you see, people are happy because their deployment is successful. Now software maintenance, you are doing the software maintenance, right? After that, what is happening? You need one day you got a call from but from the boiler room or war room, right? Why? Because the deployment of the code doesn't went good, right? It went not good, so some issue is there. So you got a call from offstate. Okay. Now, why do companies release the vulnerable code to production? So first deadline. If you have 2 weeks to complete any project, that is a very tight deadline. So the coder couldn't able to complete the proper code testing. Even he couldn't complete the everything. So he write the code copy and paste sometimes, right? We do the same thing. So 54% the critical deadline. Even with the tester, if tester is getting only 3 days for testing, he is just testing basic right regression testing, and he is not able to find every loopholes in the system. So it's a basic. If you have a good deadline or maybe more days to test this, it's better we can find the vulnerabilities. Second is 49% people are consider the vulnerability as a lower risk. We consider the vulnerability as lower risk, but in production that vulnerability is going to cause more. Every developer knows that code has some bug, but we couldn't find what is going on. I still remember some of the in my team, some of the people are still saying, "I know that code is going to break in production." Okay, there is a types of bugs we gonna learn that is crash. Your application is keep crashing. The functionality error, the functionality is not working the way we want. Typo error, lots of times the typo error is also kind of bugs. There is a buffer overflow. Let's say if I have the password is 0 to 8, but if user is trying to enter more than 9 character or 10 character, that is what buffer overflow. Talking about the calculation error. Sometimes if you don't use a proper calculation thing, then it will going to cause the issue. I see so many websites don't use proper calculation error. Means if you buy something, it should be 50, but it's showing 40. So in software development lifecycle, we see we do planning, then code, build, and then test it, then we release it, then deploy it, right? Then operate it, and then monitor it. This is the basic, normal, traditional dev skill. We still haven't included the security in this phase. So new era and the new technology that is coming, DevSecOps. So now here we are included the security. Now, as a developer, what we can do it? So we can do the input validation. Ensure that all the input is validated and sanitized to prevent the injection. Now, the password and authentication. Implement the secure password policies and multi-factor authentication. Those who don't know multi-factor authentication means you need to write the password also, and one code will be sent to your mobile phone and any other device. So once you got that code, you can enter into that application. Error handling. Provide a meaningful name to your error. Don't disclose much information to your error about your error. So minimize the risk of information explosion. Encryption is one of the secure data transmission, and the storage to the storage encryption, and we will put some transport layer security protocols. So many of you know that Log4j. This is the standard libraries. So many people have used it in Google, LinkedIn. This company is already using these things. But this Log4j that was built in Java, now it is in Apache based. It's a part of Apache. It's very vulnerable library. It's used to steal the information of users. And the second is Heartbeat. That is the another vulnerable library. It's an open SSL vulnerabilities. So, talking about OWASP, OWASP means Open Web Application Security Project. This is the non-profit organization which helps the developer to understand what are the vulnerabilities or what are the attacks can be done. This application is done almost 2018. He released almost 10 vulnerabilities, and now in 2022, the 10 vulnerabilities are still same, and it is almost 18 years old. So these are 10 vulnerabilities, and if you see 2018 and 2020, the vulnerabilities are quite same. The numbers are changed. Means we haven't received the proper security things in our application. So I'm going to cover here as a broken access control, then injection, and the third is security logging and monitoring. So broken access control is something where your page doesn't have the proper authentication. If you see here, the user and the attacker. Attacker don't have to without ACL. ACL means access control list. He can access the pages that is not required to use by him. So here the user is trying to get the pages by tampering with URL or doing some thing like username and password. Then he is able to enter into the URL. Now, what is the solution of if you have a broken access control? We need to use the continuous inspection and testing access control. Now, deny access by default means we need to deny access by default. Only public resources are available. Limiting porous switches. Those who don't know porous, it's something when we are accessing resources from outside of the domain, we need the porous. SQL injection. So here users are entering some script inside the username and password and try to get the SQL data. If you see in the screen, he is sending some SQL query in user input and then try to get all the user data. So in SQL injection, it's not only we have the cross-site scripting, another common scripting, command scripting. So what is the solution for it? It is a penetration testing. Now, third topic is security logging and the monitoring failures. Most of the time, people don't use the monitoring. We also think why we need to monitor and logging and all this thing, right? But it's very important what type of user data is being sent, so we can know what type of user is entering, and we are already aware about it. So now talking about DVWA. DVWA is I'm going to show you the demo. That is a DAM vulnerable website application. So let me show you the demo of it. I guess everyone can see. Now talking about the DVWA security, first we need to go and make it low and submit it. Getting all the data. Now talking about the another thing that is percentage, then certain commands. So we see how we are getting all data. So here you see all the data of user is coming, like first number, second number, third and then the hack me. Now talking about the third command, that we are getting all the versions of the database. So if you see in the below, there is a version that is given 5.547. So this type of SQL injection we need to check on our username and password to prevent the injection. Now the fourth command, we are getting all the schema name here. So if you see all the schema name is already there. Now talking about the second attack, that is a brute force attack. So brute force attack is something when you are entering trial and error, user and password. Means hacker is trying to enter some of the random number, first name and second name, right? So if I try to enter something like say admin, and the password is password, and try to log in. Now just click it and open image in the new tab. And I'm just removing this admin part. You are getting all the directories. I can see I can see the file, image and all. So this is the web vulnerable website to understand how the attacks are being done. So generally people are using for brute force attack. People are using the our very famous brute force box suit. So that box suit is not a free edition. There is a two edition, free edition, that is community edition, and there is another edition that is the paid version. So you can try and test it how your website are being used. So after this, whenever you are entering any trial and error information and your website is able to understand the username and password, means you can intercept everything. That is called the brute force attack. Now talking about the third part, that is cross-site scripting. Now cross-site scripting is something when user is entering the script inside the client side, right? Now here I am entering something inside the script. And trying to submit it. I'm getting the alert. Means user is trying to enter some script or adding some script in your username and it's able to log in. That is called the cross-site scripting. There are some important points that need to be remembered as a developer. What are the points that you need to use don't need to be used in interdependent system, right? In the make software that is weak. Now know your dependency. There should be the centralized input validations for all systems and there specify the proper checks for the UTFs and other all sources of input. So thank you for connecting. And if you have any questions, like you can direct me with this BBD email and the LinkedIn page. Thank you.